What's up, college football fans and Mean Green fans? Sonoy Valenta here once again with the Mean Green Show today, joined by Miles and JD. We're going to recap the North Texas spring game and give our thoughts on where we think the team stands and a few position battles. But before we get into all that, guys, you already know the drill. If you're a fan of college football or G5 football, consider hitting that like and subscribe button because that's truly all that we talk about. Okay, Miles, passing it to you first. You and I were both able to make the scrimmage and saw a lot of things. But defensively, what are some takeaways you have after the spring game?
Well, I think offense won the day yesterday. I think for the first time it was, there was a lot of good positives on the offense side of the ball. I mean, I know it was one versus two, so first string offense, second string defense, but there was still a lot of positives, especially from my man Jamori Macklin. That dude had a baller day yesterday. And there's a lot of there's overall. I mean, it's a spring game, and people are going to over hype or under hype or whatever it may be for some people during the spring stuff. But I think you saw how I think that the offensive line has improved. There was definitely a lot of questions going into this last spring game. Even Coach Morris talked about there was they're trying to establish those tackles on the edge. Um, and they look like they have improved, and I think it's going to be it's not going to be much of a problem as most people as not most people as I thought. But I think also seeing that quarterback battle, which of course we'll talk about, that was a little bit more promising than I assumed, and I think overall it was still a well played game. It was a lot of people there too. I mean, there had to be several thousand people there, and a lot of recruits. So they put on a good showing. Defense didn't have as many uh, takeaways as they have in the past. I think they didn't play as good as they have in the past, but still, it's showing that Rogers and whoever's running with the ones are doing a really good job breaking it down and being more efficient in this spring game.
Yeah, JD, any intel from your coach's eyes that are on the field as far as like the defensive side of the ball, how it went?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the main thing I'm hearing is all the exotic type blitzes. I mean, I'm sure they didn't show their hand near it all yesterday, but just kind of seeing what they've seen throughout the spring, that's exciting. It's not going to be your basic, we know which guys coming type looks that we've kind of seen in the past. I mean, I think you've seen a little, a flash of why Iowa State's been, the best defense in arguably the country the last 5 years. So that's exciting for me, knowing that I don't think that the defense is complete yet. I think there could be some additions through the portal, um, as well as some high school kids that aren't there yet. I mean, we talk about some they had some top notch high school kids that will be here in the next coming months that could battle to be in the two deep. So seeing what the defense is already, I think is exciting for me. But then I think also to wrap up the spring, like y'all said, the offense finally seemed like it clicked yesterday better than it's clicked all spring. Is exciting to head into fall camp with a little momentum.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of some of that, so for media availability, they brought in Jamori Macklin, and on the defensive side of the ball, Larry Nixon. And Larry Nixon, I think is going to be a guy who's going to step into year 6, I believe, is what it is for him, and
Long time.
just probably be the leader of that defense. And I think that's a good place for North Texas to be, to have someone like him to be able to kind of continue to pull the rope that KD Davis was pulling all those years, and and whatnot. But one thing that he shared is, as far as like someone to keep an eye on, who I mean, it just probably hasn't really been a factor in the defense yet, but it's Carson Kropp. He said, Kropp's really starting to come on strong. I believe Kropp may even be a walk on. I'm not sure, but he transferred in from Oklahoma State, I think, last season in the spring. I know he was here for the season, but I think he was here for spring football. But apparently he's coming on, and when we get Mason Richards back, and seeing how the D line shapes up. Enoch, I think, had a really good game. Enoch Jackson, and obviously Rod Brown's there. So, as long as our secondary can hold strong with Logan Wilson and those other guys, I think it's going to be set up to be a good defensive defensive front under Capone's first year. But anyway, moving to the offensive side of the ball, we'll talk about the quarterback situation last. But man, really, really pleased with the receivers. I felt like the O-line even stepped up their blocking and running backs. I mean, running backs are always solid. We still don't have Johnson and Oscar Attaway in the mix, and I think Io still might be somewhat limited, although he played. But Quaylon, it seems like they're giving him more opportunities to touch the ball, and you can really see that burst every time there's a little bit of a seam. And just I think the more he touches the ball every now and then, some of those bursts are going to go for long runs. Obviously some 7 and 8 yards, but I think there's a potential there for them to be 20 plus runs a lot of the times when he's got his hands on the ball. And then Ikaika Ragsdale looks like a tank. He's a people mover, and I think he's just going to be, the Ragsdale that we know he's been in these last couple of seasons. But anyway, Miles, passing to you. Outside of QBs, who really stood out to you on the offense?
I think I answered the wrong question first, but
you did. That's okay. That's what we do.
I was like, there's no way I just answered the wrong question. But like I said, I think Maclin was probably one of the. I mean, he's not really. He's been standing out, so he's not a guy that's gonna always be. I mean, he's already established himself. I feel like for however you say his name,
Farrar, I think. Quaylon Farrar.
I mean, even though he is probably, Attaway and Johnson aren't back yet. So right now he's like the third. He's still a little deep in there. I think he still has raw talent to be able to, in the next few years, it's pending a transfer, graduation, whatever, to be a really good player here at North Texas. And I also think, who was it? Jordan Smart. Not only today, he didn't do as well this spring game. He did really well so far this entire spring. I think he's a guy that's going to stand out. And if we have any injuries in that wide receiving core, he's going to be able to step in. And I think in general, they're still being able to insert more creativity. Of course, they're not going to show all the creative plays that they have in one spring practice, but they're still doing the pitches with Horton. That's a plus if they can still get that movement with Horton, especially going on those jet sweeps. And I think just in general, if we can have the same offensive line protection that we had last year, Ani had a lot of time to throw last year. If we can have that same amount of time with Rogers and create those open spaces with how well he ran, I think this is going to be a really, really solid team that can run the ball more and more efficient than last year. And I thought they ran the ball well last year. There were some games where they just didn't have it all in them. I think if you can create the holes that they have so far this spring, even if that's against the backups on defense, they're still showing more flashes than I thought. I think it's going to be more fun to see how they're approaching the run game as well as against other teams. Because, they're going to play some tough teams this year that are pretty good against the run. They're very big up front. We're playing some bigger teams this year in the American. So I think, and these guys, of course, will get bigger over the summer, but I'm really excited to see what these younger guys, especially true freshmen that might be coming in, have to offer come fall camp.
Yeah, to piggyback what you said, I definitely think that Macklin's definitely going to be the dude next to Shorter whenever he comes back. Seeing guys like Detroit Brown come, bounce back from injury last year. Smart, Trey Cleveland was the big addition from Texas Tech. I think I've said it multiple times on this podcast. With Horton as well, this is a Power 5 level wide receiver core. Once they get, I feel like the quarterback position figured out. This is, in my opinion, the best as far as depth wise wide receiver room we've ever had. I know we had back in the day when you had Bussy and Darden and all those guys in the same room at one time. You had 2 or 3 guys at the top that were NFL talents. I think as far as deep though, this is the best team. Y'all talk about Quaylon. He was a guy that was mentioned definitely yesterday as a guy that's going to be a dude eventually. I think he's already showing his worth, and he's going to be definitely a change of pace back that's got an exciting future. And Ikaika Ragsdale, like I said, I haven't seen him in person, but I've had multiple people tell me that he's completely changed his body in the offseason, looks like good weight, and so that's exciting to see. But last thing, offensive line, I think that we've definitely got some pieces coming as well for that. That's already signed. You got Miner coming from Arkansas State, who's started a number of games, double-digit games for them. Long, who Sonoy had on the podcast the other day, that's an All-American right guard. So you're talking about adding those pieces to an offensive line that already looks better than it has in some springs in the past. That's something you can look forward to. Is if you got to whoever the quarterback ends up being, he's going to have all the tools to succeed. It looks like a talented offensive line, a super stacked running back room, wide receivers outside. I mean, I would say the only position that I'm maybe a little concerned about at this time is probably the tight end position. But I mean, that's a position we weren't even sure how this new staff is going to use to begin with. So that's a question moving to the future. Not only who the personnel is, but how it's used. But other than that, I think offense is trending up, headed out of spring.
Tight end, I don't want to bring in, but tight end was used maybe, and with the first teams, maybe like 7-8 times, maybe. So,
Maybe.
and that's just maybe. I didn't count as many times Lee was on the field, but yeah, it is a problem. There's nobody except for Christian Lee there, but I mean, they did sign the JUCO guy, which I assume he comes in the fall.
Yeah.
But that was kind of not concerning because they still have a lot of weapons, but it was really it's a totally different than what Latrell was doing because Latrell's run with 2, and now it's just a really vast change. It's kind of weird for me to see that. It's not really that much of a problem. It's just really really weird to see.
Yeah. And not to mention Rod Burns in that name of wide receivers in that room. There's a lot of receivers too.
That's how deep. That's how deep it is. He's probably could be the best statistical wide receiver we got on the team as far as career stats. And I mentioned I feel like 8 to 10 guys and forgot him. So it's super deep room.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, shifting over to really the point of focus, really all spring. That's the quarterback position, the quarterback battle at North Texas. So I'm gonna really drink the green Kool-Aid and say that I've never felt so I don't say about never, but I haven't felt this good about the QB situation in a really long time. Before the spring game started, I was up with Brett Reed and Taylor was up there. So I asked them, I was like, if Austin Aune was here, would he start? And it was yeah, I think he would before the spring game anyway. And Aune, we all ragged on him, but he is the record holder. Just as last season, broke with the touchdowns per season. Going in, it was 2s against 1s. Reuter came in with the 2s, and after his first drive, I said, I think he's going to be the starter. I mean, he looked extremely well on his first drive with a 2 offense against the 1 defense, and he looked really good. Another thing to add, the quarterbacks were completely live, and unfortunately, JD Head did leave with an injury, due to that, all the way live as far as, I mean, if they run, they're live. If they get sacked, they're live, all the way live, which is an interesting choice. But I think it gives us, the biggest or the most accurate sample we can get of how these guys will do in a game. And the quarterbacks, they all looked really, really solid. Reuter was 6 for 9 for 53 yards. Stone Earl was 4 for 8 for 61 yards and a passing TD to Macklin, as well as like a 47-yard touchdown run. As far as just what they produced yesterday, even though he was 4 for 8, he had like 2 drops by the receivers that would have brought him obviously to 6 to 8. Earl produced the best, I think, and just what they produce. Reuter also had a rushing touchdown next to the goal line. Reuter showed off his wills and his ability to elude a real big time sack at one point, and he looked really good passing the ball. But I mean, at the end of the day, not due to, and this is my opinion, obviously, not due to Reuter or Earl losing the job, just Rodgers, the way he passed the ball, he was not missing. It was as accurate as advertised on him coming. I think he played yesterday the way we thought he was going to play sooner. Maybe we had higher expectations, but he looked like what we all think we were getting and that's looking at it, I guess, with green tinted glasses, but he went 14 for 11 for 89 yards, just really dicing them up. And there was a drop or 2 in his. Macklin, he claimed it was a drop. He had a pretty long go route that he's calling it a drop on himself. Probably could have been a little bit better place, but it did get in the hands, and that might have been a touchdown if he kept his feet. But if not, it would have been a really long completion. And when Rodgers, eludes and takes off to run, I mean, I'm not comparing him to Frank Harris, but his running ability is probably what North Texas fans have seen Frank Harris do to us over the last couple of years. Just It's like one or two steps, and he is moving quickly. He's got the ability to. Not every time when he runs is he looking to run, though. He's trying to extend the play. I mean, yesterday he really played exceptional. A lot of the QBs were lowering their shoulders for a couple of extra yards, which asked Morris about that. He doesn't want to see that on a regular basis, but it was just crazy to see how live they were. But anyway, Miles, passing it to you. What are your thoughts on the QB situation?
Well, I want to say one thing. It's not about quarterbacks. Gums just committed to Arkansas while we were on
oh, wow.
our thing. He just committed.
He should jump in and join us.
Besides, maybe he transfers out.
Yeah.
Second part, I think it's really good to see live quarterback action, and I mean, it feels bad. I feel bad for Head because Christian Lee's dad tweeted out prayers up for speedy recovery for Head, and that does not sound good. That does not sound very good. So it might be a while. Head might be out for a while, but I think it was really promising. Like you said, I mean, this is what we're wanting to see in Rodgers, and I think, like you said again, he won the position more than Earl, and Reuter lost it. And I think Earl still had a really good game. He's been able to run the ball well, but at the same time, Rodgers has that action, that play action vision down the field. I think he has the best vision we've seen. I think he has better vision than Frank Harris because he was able to find the right spot. And I'm a dog on Frank Harris because
I still think
he threw that one pick in the first game we played last year. That was a horrible pass. I think Rodgers has that ability to be able to make the right plays. He has great field vision. And that's just against our own defense. So who knows how to actually be in the game, but it's really promising to see because the last quarterback we had was Jason Bean, and he had no field awareness. So it's really exciting to see someone who's able to move out of the pocket and make plays. I still think Jace Reuter's played. As someone on Twitter said, if Jace Reuter is the quarterback, they won't go to a game. I think it's a little harsh. I don't understand why people are hating on people that much, but I still think he has the ability, if let's say Rodgers does get injured, to go in the game and still produce. It's just really promising to see a more efficiency from the guys, as well as they're being able to be hit. Even though you might get injured, there's still there's raw action, and they're able to produce things that could be more live scenario events. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens in the next few days. Morris, I think quarterback Coach Brophy said that it won't probably be named until the fall, but I still think Rodgers took that job, and not by much, but I still think he established himself as the quarterback going into the season, going into Cal week 1.
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers was the guy that we felt like was going to be the guy when he committed. I mean, he had Power 5 offers. The guy started, 18 games, played in 24 games at the Division I level, which is rare. I mean, to be able to get a quarterback with that type of experience. But I mean, with his legs and his accuracy, like y'all said, I mean, he just brings another dimension that when those two things are rolling in college football, they can make a mediocre team great. So I mean, I think that's going to give him the advantage to begin with. Jace Reuter, I give the guy all the credit in the world. I mean, he could have easily rode off into the sunset. We've talked about that, a number of guys on this team, but I mean, he's battled and kind of rejuvenated his career. And if he's the starter, if he wins out in fall, then more power to him. I think he's maybe has the strongest arm on the team. I think the biggest flaw for Reuter, we've talked about last year, is he doesn't really have a changeup. It's just there's not really a mid-range passing game there. But I mean, he's a stout, athletic dude. I still think I think with Morris and them, they're gonna. I mean, they'll be a definite starter. I don't think they're going to do the 2 quarterback thing we've seen in the past. I do think from what I've heard, they do see a benefit in having a Stone Earl package if he's not the starter. Maybe a goal line situation. I mean, I think there's definitely a benefit in whoever the starting quarterback is having an Earl package moving forward. So that will be something to watch. But I mean, I think it may have clicked with Rodgers. I mean, you got to think the guy's coming in here, not only a new team, new receivers, new playbook. It's a new playbook for everybody, but I think the playbook, Morse's playbook and Seth's, they've got a lot of similarities, both of them being air raid guys. But Like I said, Rogers coming in here, completely new situation. It may have took him a little bit to get acclimated. So I'm excited to see how much he progresses over. I mean, the progression from scrimmage 3 to spring ball was pretty awesome to see. So if he can keep progressing like that, come first game against Cal, I think that Chandler Rogers is definitely your starting quarterback, and potentially with his legs, accuracy, this offense could be an all-conference quarterback.
Yep. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll have to hop on again to talk about some, the latest recruiting news. But guys, thank you so much. And as always, go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.